morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to The Infinite Way, where humanity and spirituality meet. So I am so excited to have Mr. Ronald Dillard Jr. here on our podcast. And welcome, Ronald.
Thank
Welcome.
you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Now, we know, and I know that you are a filmmaker, an actor, a producer, a director, and you have attributed many, many awards
Mhm.
to the films that you do. And I've had the honor to take the time and see them. So, really, really excited to talk to you about your number one. Well, actually, they're all right up there to me. I don't like any one of them more than the other because they all hit home.
Thank you.
But let's talk about I don't have them in front of me, but
No. It's not a problem. Just give me some of the words of them, and I'll just go right to it.
okay.
um, when we pray on them, was it started after the unfortunate slaying of George Floyd. Once that happened, it was very difficult for me to do anything else without doing a film that I felt like and captured exactly how I felt, or I wanted to give people something to think about. So to me, for anybody, I felt like I could have got out and marched, and there's nothing wrong with marching, but I felt like I could do something that could contribute outside of doing that for me. And the concept of when we pray on them is this: if an officer who was about to kill an unarmed Black man knew he would be killed within the next 24 hours, would he still pull the trigger? Because in this situation, in this film, there are immediate consequences to these actions. And I feel like no matter whether it's Black people or any ethnicity, if they are continued to be slain, to be killed innocently, to be killed where there was no cause, shoot them in the back, choking them to death. If this continues to happen, how long will this happen in other ethnic groups before someone stand up and say, hey, this is not right? Before someone stops it. And unfortunately, in our society, if there are no consequences, then people may reign and feel they can do whatever they want to do. Sometimes maybe feel empowered. Sometimes maybe feel like they have the authority. And that's what and to me, it's better to learn from these fictional characters than from anyone else losing their lives. Because when it comes down to it, no matter what color or creed you are, if this was your son, your father, your grandfather, your uncle, your nephew, your neighbor, your cousin, how would you feel? And these are questions you don't see on the news. When they're having these discussions on news panels, no one ever asked that question. It is a powerful question, and I think it's a question that kind of ends the conversation very quickly. That's just my opinion of it, but it's just something that I wanted to, because I think there's only so many times you can do something to any group of people before someone does something about it. And that was the whole premise of the film. I'm hoping it gets people to walk away, because when someone is standing in your driveway, when you have to deal with a serious situation, everything else changes. Your perspective, because there could be people on the TV of another ethnicity that can't relate. They look at it and maybe they don't have anything invested. They're dealing with so much in their life, they don't take time to think about it. But when you say, if this was your family, it takes on a whole different meaning. So that was the premise of When We Pray on Them. And it originally started as a film. It originally started as a feature film that was about 2 hours. And it was something that I could not produce because I didn't have the resources for. But
Right.
until I saw a film called Lock, starring Tom Hardy, where he's in the car most of the film. When I re-saw that film, I said, I know how to do this film now, the short film. It has to happen in interrogation room. So once I saw that, it reminded me of how I could do this film and get the message across, because there's even a bigger message in the feature film, even taking it back to Black Wall Street. Just kind of what they were able to do. Imagine 5 men who grow up in a community where the dollar changes hand maybe twice, and they go off,
Mhm.
educate themselves, and come back to that community And now they have
Mhm.
all of these businesses where maybe the dollar's changing hand 18 times.
Right.
So a lot of times when people talk about the lack of resources that we've had and the fact that maybe sometimes things are taken from us, which has happened and sometimes does happen. But when you think about the Freedmen's Bank, when you think about Black Wall Street, these are things that the Freedmen's Bank, after they got out of slavery, they immediately start compiling their money up. Now, when you talk about lack of education, whatever have you, they had it in their minds to save and accumulate. It was either 15 to 52 million dollars. So we have done great things. And then you think
Yeah.
about a lot of times where in a lot of our communities, in a lot of our urban neighborhoods, you may not have the best computers, but right now everybody has a smartphone. So you
Mhm.
have access to all of this information if you choose. What are you looking at? Is it TikTok? Is it YouTube? Or is it information that's going to help better yourself? Now, I'm not condemning anyone because listen, I'm not a big TikToker, but every time I see something catching my eyes, I said that was funny. I'm on YouTube all the time looking up interviews and other things. But at the same time, when we talk about the resource, when you do have access to a resource, what are you doing with it? And that goes to me too. And I only say that because I don't have a lot of mentors when it comes to writing, directing, producing, and acting. A lot of
Mhm.
what I come from, a lot of my training comes from interviews, magazines, books, DVDs, commentaries, DVD special features. My favorite director is a guy named Ridley Scott. American Gangster, Black Hawk Down, Gladiator, Prometheus.
Mhm.
One of the reasons he's my favorite director is because he talks about how script is Bible. Whenever you ask him, why did you do The Martian? It's always about the story. So if the script isn't right, if there's no story there, then there's nothing to really do. And then he works so hard to ensure when they go to filming, everyone is ready. And he works with
Mhm.
nothing but the best people. They asked him one time, what was difficult about doing The Martian? He said nothing, which sounds like an arrogant statement until you understand how meticulously he prepares.
Right.
Even doing things like shooting multiple cameras. If you and I are doing a scene and we're on my performance for 5 hours, now we say, okay, it's your turn, let's go. You could be blown, but imagine we have two cameras on each other, so you do something amazing, and now we have it. And now we can save the performance so you can give me your all and let it all flow out, and we have it. Just these things like that have helped me immensely to understand preparation. And the best compliment is this: anytime I've ever paid for a location, someone give me a location for free, I've always given them back 2 hours. So if I ask them to allow me to use for 7 hours, we get it done in 5.
Mm.
When we pray on
Okay.
them, we shot in an actual jail, and we have from 5 p.m. to 4 in the morning to get it done.
Okay.
And I remember the major who was responsible for us. He thought that he wasn't going to get to see his wife till about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I remember my friend Damien. He said he was talking to the actor. He said, "What time do you think we can get out here?" He says, "Midnight." And it was like, "Well, no, we got to shoot this and this, this." And he said, "Do you know your lines? Because Ronald knows his lines. If y'all are as good as he says y'all are, we were walking out at 12:15. The major was hopping. He got us in the parking lot. He said, I'm gone. And he did like a beeline to his car because he was going home so many hours early that he expected to see his wife, to see his lovely wife. So I
Right.
know I said a lot in that, but that's how I got started with when it comes to when we pray on them, and then just a little bit about me as far as when you think about producers, Jerry Bruckheimer, that's somebody that I study. When you think about writers, I think about Steve Zalian. When you think about actors, I mean Gary Oldman, Denzel
Right.
Washington, Tom
Right.
Hanks, Don Cheadle. These are just some of the people of a long list of people that I aspire to. Also, I have to mention on my Mount Rushmore of directors is a guy named F. Gary Gray, because while David Fincher and Spike Lee has a specific style, and F. Gary Gray is the guy who did Friday, a classic comedy, Set It Off. He did Negotiator. He did Straight Outta Compton. He did,
Mhm.
the Eighth Fast and Furious Five.
Right.
When you look at his films, there is no one way to detect that it's an F. Gray film. It's clean, it's clear, it's a good story, it is wonderfully shot. And I just think the world of him. So I know I went a bit long-winded on that one, gave you guys a lot of information. Please forgive me. But
No, because you have an incredible gift.
mhm,
And when we pray on them, when I look at unbrotherly love,
mhm,
the gift that you have is taking that topic that would make you angry,
mhm,
that topic that would make you infuriated, rageful,
mhm,
and you're able to deliver a
mhm,
conversation and
mhm,
the ability to see this from so many points of view and then choose how you want it to end.
mhm, mhm.
And that's a gift
Well,
because
mhm,
when we look at that,
mhm,
when we look at like when we pray on them,
mhm.
during that time when George was killed, we were angry.
Yeah,
We were angry. We were raging.
yeah.
How could this injustice be? And to be able to take that topic
Mhm,
and lay it out
mhm,
and then make people think,
mhm,
not just react, but
mhm,
think
mhm,
and look at it.
mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, to me, I write what fascinates me. And even though I write about some very, very tough topics. For example, the color in your eyes. The
Hmm.
behind the color in your eyes is this. If you have a man, if you have a person who grew up and their father, let's just say he taught them everything. He taught his son everything. And his
That's right.
father never lied to his son. You know, the way to do a tire checked out, saving your money checked out, the investments checked out, understanding how to put a car together checked out, all of that. So if he sit here and tell you that these colors or these darker people that he called niggas or niggers are no good, why wouldn't you believe
Hmm.
him? Okay. All right. Now, so because, and that's the premise of it. My daddy was right about everything he taught me. Why would I question him? But would you have the courage? Because normally I never see anyone in a race conversation ask the other person, okay, you think I'm a nigga? Okay, got it. All right. Okay, why? You know, what is it about my people do you not like? And in this particular story, he doesn't have an answer. Because we see that there's somebody at his job that he respects
That he
more than
loves.
other people because he has the same work ethic as he does. Different color, same work ethic. And then he has the courage to ask himself that tough question. Because a lot of times nobody wants to eat humble pie. Humble pie is the worst tasting thing of all time.
Yeah.
Anything you don't like, humble pie tastes worse than that. So to have the courage to sit here and examine yourself, even if you've been on record for all this time, because there's a lot in most crowds. If somebody looked at you in the crowd and says, she hates America, most people aren't going to sit here and say, oh, do you not like America? They're going to just go to this, would we don't, there's a statement made. Well, hold on, let's find out. And it's that kind of thinking that I want to encourage, because sometimes we can have knee-jerk reaction about anything. It could be the same thing with me. I could have a knee-jerk reaction, but to take the moment to think about that, I think there's power in that. Also, I
Mhm.
have to understand that my mother, the way she raised us, and my mother made sure that my brother and I and my sister, that we talked through our feelings, that we were able to express how we were feeling, because lack
Okay.
of being able to express how you're feeling or having an outlet to get it out can cause you to sometimes do other things. You could possibly get violent, and 15 seconds of checking out could cost you 15 years.
That's right.
You
We
know,
know
my
this.
mother, she worked in Department of Corrections for over 32 years, and that was a place that she didn't want to see us there, and she rarely recognized that the first thing, it starts with your mind.
Right.
You know, being able, as a man, as a male, being able to express yourself, being able to talk out how you feel, being able to think, understanding how to calm down before you react, understand that there are consequences to your actions. You might feel a certain way, you might feel like doing something else, but think about the consequences before you do, because they can be dire. I don't care if Jack or if Thomas got away,
Right.
you may not. So, you know, so those are things. So when it comes to the it's about me thinking about what I would like the audience to think about and putting something a realistic situation. For example, on Brotherly Love, I have an older brother who was Superman to me. And my older brother, he treated me as terrible as is described in the film, you know. And the film was just about, he wouldn't have a conversation with me for several years. We've since had the conversation, but he wouldn't talk to me about it for several years. He was someone who all he could see was any hurt someone done to him, any hurt that he's done to other people, and he's hurt some wonderful, beautiful women. I'm talking
Mhm.
about good-natured women. It was like the nice, good women that would love you for life. He treated them like crap. And the women who weren't worth a blank, 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 he would treat them like queens. Never understood it. That's who he is. Um, the film was just about me having my say. Now, nobody was ever going to see the film until the daughter came in. Until I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I thought about what if he was dealing with this when he lost a child. That's where the whole
Right.
perspective of the change. And the overall for Unbrotherly Love is just listen. If you have a spouse and you haven't talked to it, if you can muster up to have a conversation to repair the relationship, I encourage you to do that. Because unfortunately, when I see movies like The Judge, Robert Downey Jr., Vincent D'Onofrio, and Jeremy Strong as brothers, and they have a moment together, I'll never have that. Not because I don't want it. My brother wants nothing to do with me. I am powerless. I can't make a relationship just by myself. But if you can have true solidarity and reconciliation in your family, then it is my just service for doing that film. So,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Unbrotherly Love really touched me because I raised two boys,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I could see that argument, but that argument not only among my sons, but I could see that argument in so many different places, and not necessarily gender. Okay, just that argument, that relationship argument,
mhm,
that basically says, why are you behaving like this? Why are you doing this?
mhm,
Why are you doing this to us? You
mhm,
know, here I am wanting to love you, and you're
mhm,
pushing me away, and
mhm.
you're angry, and you're this and that, and I just want to talk to you, and you don't know. It's not even that they don't want to have the conversation, more than I believe that they don't know how to have the conversation.
I think that for anyone in that situation, all you can do is give what's authentic. If you're in a, if you don't know why you did what you did, I think the biggest thing is where do we go from now?
Yeah.
And here's the tough part. If you really want nothing to do with me, then I'm gonna need you to say that. Because if I have to get adjusted to that, I am not interested in walking in the wilderness for 40 years trying to figure out what you're thinking.
Right.
And
Right.
I believe for anyone in any relationship, you should just tell the person. Because a lot of
Hmm.
people will hide behind these words. 40 years go by, you finally tell them, oh my God, I didn't know that. Even if they have bad intentions, they will use it as an excuse. Take away the excuses, have the conversation. Listen, nobody wants to pour their heart out and for somebody to trample over their heart. But
Right.
there's power in that. Because after you tell them how you feel, after you're vulnerable with them, they can never say they didn't know. And
That's
if they take that vulnerability and try to use it for something terrible, shame on them.
that's right.
And you don't have to go all the way because if you just say, hey, would you sit down and have a conversation with me? Them showing up for the conversation means something, especially if they don't need something from you, So, they need something from you. But they show up genuinely, then you know that. So I just want, and I'm just hoping that it helped. The best compliment I got was it was a man who back channeled me on Clubhouse. He said, I haven't talked to my sister in over 20 years. I'm thinking about giving her a call.
Yeah.
I couldn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So
mhm,
I'm dying to ask you this.
mhm,
I want to know about Ronald Dillard.
mhm,
You have this gift. This
mhm.
gift comes out through your film. I love your films. I'm just like you got me. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
And I want to know where it started in your life. What was Ronald Dillard like as a child? Was there something about film, media, entertainment that always appealed to you since you were a little boy? Did something happen? Where did it start? Where did it seed? What was the
Also,
inspiration to
the
bring?
inspiration. Inspiration
Yeah.
starts off with acting. I always loved acting, been acting since I was 12 years old. And I was a very happy kid who didn't catch on to anything. Things could be happening all around me, and I'm just sitting there, oh, it's a wonderful day. I'm just this big happy kid. Wasn't particularly popular, and acting represented an opportunity for me to be someone else other than myself.
Mhm.
Because one of the unfortunate things about me, that's some of my trauma, is that I was called ugly from third grade up until my sophomore year of high school by just about every girl I met. So if a girl was nice to me, she had to like me. That wasn't all the case. She was just being nice to me. I learned it the hard way. But
Okay.
so and then also with the ridicule that came from my brother, the teasing that I got for in school, most of the girls didn't really, think too much of me. I didn't really like being myself. So acting represented me as an escape. One of the best uses of cartoons for me was Muppet Babies, because in Muppet Babies they're in a crib, but their imagination is this adventure. So that helped me use my imagination, and acting was a form of escape for me. Now, it just so happens in high school I started writing a little bit. In college, I started directing, and
Okay.
I was directing plays where I'm the lead in. Like there's
Mm.
a play by a man named Jeff Stetson. I have the honor of talking to him a little bit. He wrote a play called The Meeting. It's about a fictional meeting between Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and it is a fantastic play. And I got a chance to play Martin Luther King years ago, and I also directed.
Okay.
I had it
I
for
bet
about
you it's
6 months.
phenomenal. I would love to see that.
That it was it's a phenomenal play. Like the way that Mr. Stetson wrote it, it's as if he would it's as if they would have said these exact same things. And it is amazing. And it was basically majority. Now there's three characters in it. It's Malcolm X's bodyguard, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. So this play is like dialogue heavy. It's a lot of dialogue, going back and forth to learn. And I researched, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Watched, of course, the film, documentaries. Same thing with Dr. King, to get ready to be able to direct both parts. And because that's a part of my training is doing the research, doing
Mhm.
your homework, when it comes to any parts, learn as much as you can about whatever subject you're going to do. And doing that, I did another play called Medal of Honor Rag, where I played this Sergeant Dale Jackson who had been through all this trauma and war, who was going in to see to talk to someone about it.
Right.
And it was those were two big plays for me where I was directing and I was also leading this. So when it came time for me to do this on my own, I was already familiar with it. And then I was watching, then also really watching Clint Eastwood. And I really like what Ben Affleck did with The Town was very inspiring, because I think The Town was a hard film to pull off, where you're producing, directing, and writing. And then with Clint Eastwood, he's done it so well from being an actor and then being behind the camera as well. And of course, even with Denzel Washington, I think he does a good job when he does it as well. But those examples were just about, okay, you can do this, you can do it well, but you make sure that you have all the work that you can. And I have to take this moment again. First and foremost, all of my friends from my hometown Petersburg, for the ones that I have in Richmond, who have helped and worked on my plays, because my background is theater. I have two plays.
Okay.
I have two plays that I've written and produced, that I have out as well. And even Shirod Greene. Shirod Greene, with these four films, he served as a producer, as the editor, and the director of photography. And he also
Okay.
sometimes would be the director when I was in front of the camera. This young man, who I didn't know him, I saw his work, and I set up a meeting with him. I told him what my plan was, and I said, I would like you to consider working with me. He said, he said, okay, let's do it. And the young man is, I mean, his intelligence, his talent, his character, and his integrity shines through. And these films would not have been possible without the work, without working with him. So I always want to make sure that I do give him acknowledgement, because it's the equivalent of Sam Mendes working with Roger Deakins, or Christopher Nolan working with Wally Pfizer. That's
Right.
that's the best example I can give. So
Right. Wow. So when I look at, it was called A Monster.
yes,
What was the inspiration for A Monster?
the couple of inspirations behind that. Ultimately, the fascination behind that was what people say after traumatic events. A lot of times after a major traumatic event, most people will say, why didn't they get help? What do you
Right.
do in a situation where you're dealing with one of the worst ailments as possible and you go to someone with help and they reject you? What do you do? The whole premise of a monster is to open up minds. Now we're dealing with one of the most terrible, one of the most despicable things anybody could be dealing with.
Right.
This is something where I understand if you're put off. I understand if you look down on me. I understand if you are disgusted. But the premise of a monster is that if this person has not acted on it, then there has been no crime. But if they
Right.
have the feeling and they're searching out help, then what do you do? All this whole, why don't you get help? Or why did they do this? Are you willing to open your mind up to help them? If not, then watch what you say. But the whole premise of it is to open up minds of people to hopefully help someone who hasn't committed a crime, and for the person to open themselves up to getting help to save childhoods. I'm hoping this movie saves 50 childhoods.
Yeah.
That's my number. And it comes because I dated a woman who unfortunately was taken advantage of being younger. I was going to do a play about it, which I may still do it. But then I found this is an opportunity that I could effectively do a film that hopefully will give people something to think about it, a different perspective. Because this is something that's so terrible, you don't even want to entertain it. You automatically want to just be like, no, 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 you're disgusting, you're disgusting. But what if they're really going through it and they haven't done anything and they're trying real hard not to? Then,
Right.
so that was the inspiration behind Monster.
Wow. Wow. And that hard topic, it actually calls people on their facades, Oh yeah, I'll help you. Oh yeah, I'm here to
Yeah,
help.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
but that conditional help, right?
yeah. Oh
Not
yeah.
if you did da 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 da. Well, wait a second,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. So I'm looking at this in the respect that people need to see your films.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see your films. And I just want to digress here just a minute to say that you are with Fave Unite TV right now. And with Fave Unite TV, people can subscribe and they can go on and they can see your films on Brotherly Love. They can see your film When They Prey on Him.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
When we pray on them. Mm-hmm.
When We Prey on Them. I want to get it right. I'm sorry.
No,
A
no problem.
Monster and The Color in Your Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
These are powerful films and they have powerful statements. And what would you say to the up and coming filmmaker that is trying to pull themselves together and get their first film out that has a powerful statement like yours does? Because yours touches the heart. It pierces deep within the heart.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say to those other film directors that are just embroaching on their first?
First of all, I would say to you, decide do you really want to do it or not? Because it may come with a sacrifice. I've been fortunate that every project I've ever done, I've used my own money. And I don't have a trust fund. I did not win the lottery. I was fortunate to have a job where there was plenty of overtime. And you're talking about working 60, 70, 75-hour weeks, not 2 weeks, in a week. And for 8, 9 months at a time. And taking that money and not going on vacation, not buying a luxury car, not going out and doing all those things. I'm not doing and here's another thing. When you're someone who does a crowdfunding campaign and you're asking for people's money, but then you go off on vacation for Jamaica, and then you want to do, I'm like, where's the sacrifice? Because you want to come to me for my money, but then you want to go off on that one. And I understand the concept of using other people's money. Yeah, I get that. But if you're coming to me for my money, what are you doing with yours? How much invested are you into it? So that's one of the first things. And the next thing is, what's your plan? You want to do your film? And here's the thing. If you want to do your film, you want to get it out next month, okay, that's fine. Is it possible? Are you ready? Because as you're putting the money together, if you do a crowdfunding campaign, are you saving up your own money as well? Because it may not be a 2-month goal, it might be a 9-month goal. If you want to shoot a feature, you might have to shoot for 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in July, 2 weeks in August, and 2 weeks in September. Taking you time to raise the money, continue to save, to be able to put it all together. So what is your plan? Put a plan together. Also, if you're a filmmaker, you have a message, what filmmakers do you admire? How much training do you have? I'm not saying that you have to go to film school to do all of this, but understand exactly what it's going to take to get accomplished. Do you have a director of photography? Do you have a good sound guy? Do you have someone else that you need to? What do you have to go and do it tomorrow? Are you investing in your own equipment? Because right now, pretty much with all the equipment that I have, I can go shoot another film tomorrow, fortunately. And so those are the things that I would say to him. I would encourage you to definitely do it. Because see, here's the thing: when you're inspired to go from the blank piece of paper all the way to the end of production, it's an incredible feeling. Because everything that I've written has not seen the light, is not going to get produced. I have an idea I was working on right now, and I'm working on something new. I was like, this is better than that, so this is the one I'm going to do instead of the other one, just because it's a better story, and I want to get the best story I possibly can. Because even though it may not come out like that, I'm always shooting for Paramount Pictures. I'm always shooting for Warner Brothers quality. If I'm doing a play, I'm shooting for Broadway. Maybe we achieve it, maybe we don't, but that's what I'm shooting for. So that's what I would say to anyone that is aspiring filmmaker that's looking to come out with a film and a message. Also, I would also say to them is that don't be afraid to, if you found yourself false, if you found somewhere in the script and you're like, this is not working, or I don't think this is the right way to go, have the courage to rework it. Have the courage to work it out. If you're at a place where you're at writer's block and you just can't get another thing on the page, go back and ask yourself, why am I doing this in the first place? What am I trying to write? What am I trying to convey? Because if you think about what you're trying to convey, if you need to say X, Y, and Z in the next scene, who's the best person to say it? You have to create another character. It has to be somebody's mama. It should be the girlfriend. What are you looking to do? So hopefully those things will help.
Absolutely, I'm sure that they will. So how can people get in contact with you?
Oh, you can get in contact with me. I have a website, Ronald Dillard Jr. It's, right now I'm Ronald Dillard Jr. across the board. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can check out my website, which you have the trailers for all the films that I have there. And also on my website, both of my first 2 plays, they're also available. You can access those to the website. Again, if anyone who watches any of my films, please DM me on Instagram, or send me a message on Facebook. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to have a dialogue, with you. I would love to have a group of people, have a Zoom where we all get on and we talk about it, if people are interested in it, because
Absolutely.
I'm really interested in what what people have to say. And just, and like, again, the things that I've written so far, the films, they can be tough to watch, so for anyone that has watched it, I would love to hear what they think about it. So yeah.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to reserve the right to bring you back. I just love this conversation. I would love to reserve the right to bring you back. Let's go a little bit deeper, or even have you, work with a panel of young artists if we can pull one together. I would love that, because bring a plethora of experience and heart to your work, and people need to see it. So please contact Mr. Ronald Dillard Jr. Take the time to see his films. Again, Brotherly Love, When We Pray on Them, A Monster, The Color of Your Eyes.
Oh, yeah, yes,
correct?
yes, correct.
Making sure I'm naming them right. Okay, getting it right. And take the time to look these up, see them, and get a breath of love and learning from Mr. Ronald Dillard Jr. So thank you so much for coming on The Infinite Way. We love having you, and we look forward to having you again. Any last words?
Oh, yes, you're very, very welcome. I'll come on anytime that you would like. If there are any other filmmakers that I can assist, or give any words of encouragement to, or any guidance to, it is my pleasure. So definitely.
Okay. Thank you again.
You're very
Take
welcome.
care, everyone. Goodbye.